Well, I'm not going to be able to see the chat box.
Uh-oh. Hey, this is Johnny Bean. 12:18 p.m. California time. Alan, where are you? I don't know. What time is it there?
It is 2:19 in Houston, Texas, Central Time right now.
Okay, cool. And the guy with the forehead cut off. What's your the guy that can't see the chat room? What what time is it?
It's 3:20 or so.
Mm-hmm.
Eastern Standard Time.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Thanks for jumping in. We got total chaos here. Literally. And Bruce, I believe it is. Hello, everybody. Thanks for jumping in. Alan Garber, he messaged or commented or something yesterday while Nesdall and I were doing our chat. Jimmy, hey Jimmy, and said he wanted us to jump on and talk about some guitars, some guitar licks, all that good stuff. So here we are, and yes. So hey, how are you guys doing?
Well, doing great. Good to be with you guys. It's been a long time since I've been on, and it's difficult for me schedule wise, with my wife and my baby to have any time to jump on with you guys in the evening. It's like it never happens, but I appreciate y'all kind of doing a off day meeting of the minds.
Yeah.
Echo.
And Echo, Charlie.
Hey, Stefan. Stefan is here. Derek is here. Richard Smith is here. Thank you guys for jumping in. Oh, Stefan says, hey, guys, Dave, I love that guitar, he says.
Thank you. Now, if I could only keep it in tune, it'd be great.
Yeah. How come you can't see the chat room?
This is going to be funny because David's not having trouble staying in tune, and because I've changed the tuning slightly on this guitar, which is very similar to what David is playing.
You guys both have the same guitar. Look at that.
You
guys kind of look alike.
This is a Music Crop Northern Ash body and a Chris Lock neck, and David's playing a Scott Smith guitar, and they're both standard Fender tremolos. But I'm slightly out of tune because normally I tune to the records, and for the sake of this discussion, I tune down to entirely to 1/2 step down, which is not exactly how Eddie was normally tuned. He was usually tuned a little bit higher step down on most of the recordings. So, but just for the sake of us being able to be more or less in tune with each other, I'm tuned down a 1/2 step. And I also have a guitar that's in standard tuning, just in case we wanted to switch guitars and talk about a different song that's tuned more or less to standard tuning.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Hey, everybody. Everybody's saying hello in the chat room. We got 13 people sitting here.
Wow. During the day.
I know.
16. If
so yeah, as I was saying earlier, like I was going to try to kind of keep this to, if we could manage it, to try to keep this to simply talking about just the physical playing of the guitar, and like no real gear, no amps, no distortion pedals or distortion at all, and just just the fingers on the guitar, the hands and the fingers on the guitar, which to me is of maximum importance. And that's kind of what I was trying to keep it to. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, cool. What you want to start with? What do you have in mind?
I thought I might, for giggles, we might try. I've mentioned to you guys that me and my friend Bill Flanagan are working on an updated super duper transcription of Eruption, and we're kind of nearing the finish line on it. But I'm busy, but Bill is super busy. He's a teacher, and he's got multiple kids and a wife and a whole life, and it's very difficult for him to get away. And I've got a life, but Bill's got a real big time life where he is super, super busy. But so it's kind of been drawn out, us finishing our Eruption transcription. But I thought I might go over one lick that's sort of at the beginning of Eruption. That was one of the very first things that Bill and I found is completely not transcribed or played correctly by anyone that we've seen yet. And that's the
except for Chelsea Constable.
She's not playing it right either. She's playing it really, really well. She's one of the best that I've seen play the entire song. And I think her tone is amazing with the David Bray amps. It's fantastic. I love Chelsea. I mean, she's really one of the best. I mean, probably top 2 or 3 that I've ever seen play it. But this, there's certain licks that, that just no one has gotten. And that's why I think Bill and I felt compelled to really work on retranscribing Eruption correctly, because it's like there's certain things where just everybody's playing them completely differently, or just we feel, that we can demonstrate that what they're doing is not correct and what we're hearing. And again, when we're hearing, we're going with the tracks, we're using the isolated tracks, we're slowing it down with software, we're slowing it down on YouTube. As Johnny's chuckling at me, jabbering.
Come on. Play it already.
All right. So anyway,
we're already getting thumbs down here.
Oh, well, we need to have maximum. We're going to have maximum thumbs down on this video. I can guarantee that, because someone always gets mad whenever like actual playing is discussed, because nobody wants to hear that they're doing it wrong. We've said it before. There's so much internet hatred for me. It's not even funny, but I'm just going to go right into that lick. So the lick that I'm talking about is that first B string pull off, hammer on pull off lick that's on the 5th fret and the 8th fret of the B string, and then involving the open B, right? Mm-hmm. So, that's sort of quickly after the intro is, just in the little walk up. So after that, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but
yep, you hear it perfectly.
What I like to do as I lead into that lick is do that little bend on the G string 7th fret, and there's a slight harmonic on it, you know it well. And then you do you release the bend, pull off to the 5th fret of the G string, and then you're going to hammer back to that 7th fret and bend up and do just a slight vibrato. So. And what I do is that first bend I do with like a normal bend with 3 fingers, and use the ring finger on the 7th fret. But as I set up to go into that next phase with the lick that we're about to talk about, I like to hammer on with my middle finger there as I'm doing the bend. So I'll go. Let me see if you guys can see that. I'll try to scoot closer. So I'll start off with this finger, with the ring finger. And then, and that sets me in position to start going to the next lick, because the next lick follows on the heels of that really quickly. So then here's the meat of the lick, and so you're going to go.
Who's howling?
And then you're going to play the 5th fret of the B string, the 5th fret of the E string. And then here comes the lick that a lot of people will play this lick like so. Like they'll play it. And what that is the 8th fret of the G string, the 5th fret of the B string, and then the 8th fret of the B string. And then you got to do a pull-off sequence from 8/5 to open. Most people play that lick this way.
Devin, come on.
That's how a lot of people play that. Now, some people also play it as it's transcribed in the official book by using the open string of the high E. Johnny is cracking up.
Oh. I'm not laughing at you. Echo.
Because you can hear you can see the chat box. So anyway, another way that people commonly play that lick is using the open high E string, and that's how it's transcribed in the official book. And that would be high E, So you're playing the open high E and then the pull-off sequence from 8-5 to 0, and then to the 8th fret of the G string. So it would be, and you're hopping over the B string from the G string to hit that high E. That's how it's transcribed in the official book. So what we found is that it's neither one of those things. And it's back to that Eric Clapton sitting on top of the world lick, where what's actually going on is the lick is
So you're hitting the E string twice. The E note gets picked twice.
correct. And what you do,
up and down stroke. It's a down and up stroke. Down and up.
You're exactly correct. That's right. So you would be doing an upstroke. Let's see. Yeah, an upstroke on the G string at the 8th fret, followed by a downstroke onto the 5th fret of the E string, and then an upstroke at the same place.
Yeah.
And then the sequence that follows that is actually a hammer on to the 8th fret, and then that pull off from 8-5-0. So it's and the thing is that Clapton does that little double hit of the 5th fret of the B string, or that double hit in that spot in the box position. He does that so fast. Eddie does that so fast, and Clapton does it so fast that it often like escapes people's ears. But he is playing it so fast that it's very difficult to hear it. Even when you slow it down, it's difficult to hear it. But that's how I believe it's done. That's how Bill believes it's done. And I'll try to play it up to speed. I'm not really warm, but let's see. So that's kind of. So try that and see what you think. You can listen to the record, but I tell people that now YouTube is great because you can actually slow down the tracks. If you have your desktop up, you can play it at half speed or quarter speed. Any of the clips on YouTube.
You can slow down videos now.
Yeah. So you can take the isolated track. What's that?
You do it on a laptop as well?
Yeah, you can do it on I say desktop, but as opposed to doing it on your phone. I don't think they have it on the phone, but you can do it on your desktop or your laptop.
Yeah.
And you can select in the settings. There's that little wheel in the corner of this video screen, and you can select that, and you can have it at where you normally select whether like the quality, whether it's HD, the video quality, but you can in that same box half speed or quarter speed, or you can even speed it up for whatever reason you want to hear it like a chipmunk or something. But if you do that, you can really hear in that one spot. Just do that and go find the isolated track on YouTube and that one little spot. That was a really interesting thing that I learned because I was doing it wrong too, that Bill, taught me, and listening to that isolated track slowed down. I was like, oh, wow, the light bulb went off. And once again, it's that same lick from Sitting on Top of the World. And I went over that in a hangout with you guys a long time ago. Y'all can go to Johnny's channel and it's on there. And I did a lesson on that one lick, but it's incredible where that lick pops up. So, and people wouldn't have thought that there's really any Eric Clapton interruption, but it's right there in that opening lick. And you can hear him do it when he does it live. It's a little more obvious when he did it live in the 70s. Because he would really, you could hear that little, in that lick. And what's interesting is like, it's actually easier to play the lick that way than it is to play it with the open string, because it is kind of, it's kind of clunky to hop over the B string the way it's done in the official transcription book. So, just. And the picking direction is really critical there too. So, David, you hit it right on the money. It's the the down, up, and then hammer onto the 8, and then pull off.
Yeah. Yep. Wow.
And what's cool about that too is that you really get that nice legato sound of the hammer on from the 5th to the 8th. So you're like,
yeah, I got you.
That sounds so much smoother and so much more like the record than doing that really clunky way that they did it in the official transcription book with that open string and hopping over the B string, and just the sound wasn't there and the sequence of notes was not correct. And then some people do it like the super simplified way, and that's the way Chelsea, the first way that I was showing you, where people are just going. So that's not what's going on.
Note. Missing one note.
Yeah, it's missing that one note, that extra repeat of the E on the 5th fret of the B string, and Chelsea plays it that way, and just about everybody plays it that way, and that doesn't quite get it right, and it was like a light bulb moment. Even though I was familiar with the whole Clapton lick thing, I didn't hear it right there until Bill explained it to me and showed me the tab, and we came up with the right picking directions, and then listening to that isolated track at half speed, you could really hear it. And it's just amazing how Eddie has described like his tremolo picking as a spasm. It's really like a little spasm where he does that quick down up pick movement on that one note.
Mm-hmm.
It goes by so fast that it's very, very hard to hear at regular speed. And I think that's maybe one of the many reasons why it escaped people.
I think that, and many of us think that you and Bill are probably insane. But
no question about it.
Goodness.
But I mean, that's the difference between us boys and you men. It's because I honestly would never have. It makes total sense, and it would have gone right over my head if you didn't tell me. Honestly, I'm not, all kidding aside, I would never have thought twice about that.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. I thought I was doing it right. I thought maybe, but I never did quite get the feel correct. And I knew that there was, and I thought, I put it on me. I was like, well, maybe I'm not playing it fast enough. I'm not playing it clean enough. I'm not playing it smooth enough. And I used to do it with that open string, like it is in the official transcription. And that's how I did it like all my life, and I didn't get it until Bill showed it to me. And then when he showed it to me, it's just one of those things where if somebody doesn't show it to you, it's very, very difficult to catch. And we, as part of doing this eruption project, we have looked at every single available eruption lesson. There's a lot of eruption lessons.
Oh yeah. There's more than you need.
Yeah, I mean, and every single one of them we saw, including people that have, and this goes in general for Van Halen transcriptions, even people that have huge budgets and incredible audio and video that are supported by major music chains and music publishing, and every single one of them is just wrong on just about every single Van Halen transcription. They're just, and part of it is just like, those people have lives and they do other things than Van Halen, and they haven't spent, they just haven't cared to spend the time to try to really get it right. Or, they're busy. They're making a lot of money. They're people that do this, that have made instructional videos, that they're on tour, and they're big shot guys making a lot of money, and like them transcribing Van Halen is just a job that they got given one day. And even though many of them might have been learning Van Halen stuff for years, they have not really looked at it on a true note for note level. and they just miss a lot of things because it's not something that they really. One way to say it is that they're not as crazy as me and Bill, but another way to say it is that, and it's not a judgment, it's just like they've got other things to do, and they don't spend a massive amount of time trying to figure it out over, decades. You move on and do other things, which is great, but the reason why me and Bill work on it so much and care about putting it out on the internet is so that there's something that's more accurate to refer to, because we've just seen this dearth and lack of accuracy in every single written transcription. And that goes for Steve Vai's transcription and Guitar Player. That goes for Jimmy Brown and many people that transcribed in Guitar World. That goes for, I'm not going to throw everybody under the bus, but there are people that get a lot of views and a lot of clicks, and a lot of people are really, unfortunately, and end up learning it the wrong ways. And there is a wrong and a right way. There's the way that Eddie played it. There's the way that people like me, who for years thought was playing it right, but just really weren't. And it's not like I'm trying to put myself above anybody else. It's just that, I'm trying to share that I've learned this, and it's been very helpful. And I know that it's, that it's just closer to what Eddie actually did than any of the other transcriptions, and people get super defensive about it, and they freak out that I even, care to try to learn this stuff on a note for note basis. And I get,
I don't know why people would get, upset or pissed off. If it wasn't for guys like you that sat there for hours and hours and hours to do this, no one would get it right. Someone's got to get it right. Someone's got to do the work. And why not try to get a little, publicity and notoriety for doing it correctly? I don't see a problem with that at all. I don't see it being, you're patting yourself on the back. You're doing a lot of hard work. I don't want to do that work. I'm not doing it. You're showing me, and you're not even charging me to do it. It's all good as far as I'm concerned. Anyone else that feels that, you're the bad guy and that you're, just, ruffling your own feathers, they can go scratch.
Yeah. I tend to agree, but it's kind of difficult because, as we've said before, it's hard for me to not come out like a know-it-all, but it's like, I have done some work on this, and it's really, and again, it's really more about Bill, because Bill is the guy that taught me how to do this stuff when I wasn't doing it correctly all these years. Mm-hmm. I'm just applying what he's learning, and like what I've added to the discussion is like 5% of the total thing that Bill really figured out. And
it's still 100% more than what I've put. I won't even do it. You've put in 100% more time than I ever will, and I still can't play the lick, but I'm looking. At least I know it. I know where it is and what to play. But that I'll get it.
Clapton lick. You know how to play the Clapton lick. We've discussed it, and I've watched you play it. You know how to do it, so you understand the concept. And that's another thing is that people tend to not think, they don't apply the Eric Clapton to Eddie's playing, and they put Eddie in the classification of like Paul Gilbert or any of the metal shred guys, and he is not. He's really so heavily influenced by Clapton that the Clapton stuff just really is so ingrained and deep in there that I'm amazed that people miss it, and that was really such a super key.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was one thing about that lick, and for me, it's not like it's not even work. I enjoy it. I really love getting closer and closer to figuring it out correctly. And that's why I work, I work on the tuning. You know how I work on the tunings, and I'm able, it's a lot of fun, but it's for a lot of people, it's not fun. For me, it's like, it's so much fun. I do that as a break from the other guitar playing that I've done. Yeah. To me, it's like, it's more fun to it's really a side hobby to figure out the Van Halen stuff and really work on it and get to the infinitesimal level. It's fun for me, so what can I say? So that was an interesting kind of lick that I think was cool.
So are there any other parts to that song to that solo that are wrong that you've gone over and found?
Yeah. There's a bunch. Like that was one of them. In that opening in the very first thing that happens in the song is that power slide kind of thing that goes into the open A5 chord, and that's something that I think people just think, oh, that's just a power slide. They don't in the transcriptions. People have really just transcribed that as like a slide. They'll just write slide on the sixth string, and that'll be it. But actually, yeah, that's the thing. And so what it really is it starts out on the A and D string at the 7th fret, and you're just doing a bar of those two strings, and you're sliding up to the 13th fret of those two strings. And then you're doing a power slide down from the 3rd fret of the low E string, and you're sliding all the way down to the G note on the 3rd fret, and it's all in one motion. I used to just think that it was just I thought it was just a slide up and down, like, no thought to where it begins and ends. I would try to listen to the record, but without being able to slow down the track, I couldn't catch what was really going on. But it's really, you're playing a chord at the 7th fret of the A and D string, sliding it up to the 13th fret, and then it's all in one motion. So it's and that's the tricky thing. It's two things. But you have to do it so fast that it sounds like it's all one thing. And that's how Eddie did that opening thing. So that was a fun thing that we learned when we sat down to work on it. That was something that I figured out. I think, Bill worked on some of the other things, but that was one of the first things that I figured out when I started writing it down, was just that opening power slide. So it's, 7, double stop at the 7th fret of the A and D, slide it up to the 13th fret of the A and D, and then do a downstroke on the 15th fret of the low E, and then you slide down to the 3rd fret. That's just an octave. But the first part of that is what's critical. It's the double stop part, and that's what I missed. It's
I gotta tell you, I know that's exactly what's recorded, and that's what's on the original recording. But I guarantee you, that's not how it was meant to be played. It was just a slide. That's how it got caught. That's how it got captured. That's just
right.
It was just because he's never done that again. It's always been, it's always been, But that's how it got captured in that moment in time.
You put it perfectly, because that's an off the cuff moment. That wasn't a pre-planned thing. He didn't think, he didn't think, oh, I'm going to slide from the 7th fret up to the 13th fret on the two strings and then go down. It wasn't like that at all. It's clear, like you say, that was just a moment.
Yeah.
And that's how these things are. And that's something that gets people pissed off, because people go, Eddie didn't care.
It's not
what's the point of learning how it did?
It's not that he didn't care. It's just that people are very critical. Anything that's recorded, people are critical always, and no matter what, and you're being critical with the actual solo, and that's what's making this cool, is that you're so critical about it that you want to get it every nuance correct, But in reality, we all know that was, like I said, that was just it happened to be captured that way, but that's not how he meant to play it. He just meant to do a finger slide. That's all it was. It just, it got captured that way.
Yeah, you got it. So that was another example of something that we caught in Eruption that has not been transcribed ever correctly. I mean,
And
there's
now
been
I
a
have
couple
to listen to it. Now you got me interested because I've never ever heard that. I never heard it like that. And now you're gonna freak me out and I'm gonna have to go listen to it.
Yeah, let's go on YouTube and go in that settings thing, put it on half speed, and you can even put it on quarter speed. That'll help you. But yeah, listen with your headphones. Being in tune with the record, like if you want to play along, again, I go back to this. Playing in tune with the recording is really important when you're transcribing and playing along with it, so that you're actually exactly with it. The original recording is somewhere around 15 cents higher than standard E flat tuning. So, and that will help you really hear it. I think that's another thing that has made it difficult to transcribe Eddie's music, is that people haven't quantified the tuning. They haven't gone in and been able to get their guitars in tune with the record correctly, and so they miss pitches because because of that difference in tuning. So when if you're sitting there transcribing something and your guitar isn't exactly in tune with the record, you're opening up a can of worms. I mean, you're gonna come up with pitches that just aren't right, especially when you're talking about like the whammy bar dives. So that was another section that we well, that was one that I figured out was the whammy dives. And let's see, I'm gonna play through just a second. Give me just a second. Yeah, okay, so that's what it is. And there's something different. There's some other stuff that we learned, but let's see. It's hard to do it because once I've got it, I'm just playing it off the cuff and I'm not thinking about how it was actually. That's why I write it down in tab. It's like, it'd be hard for me to remember these little off the cuff moments, but after you do the little walk down the so you're on the 3rd fret of the A string, and you're going to be with your index finger on the 3rd fret of the A string. So then you slide up. You slide up to the I think it's the 13th fret of the A string, and then you do a silent pull off onto the low E string. So it's, and you're doing that silent pull off with your middle finger. Oops, excuse me. You're doing that silent pull off. So you're using your index finger on the A string, slide up from the 3rd fret to the 13th fret. And then you're using that middle finger to do the open string silent pull off. And then you're dropping down, and I have it written down. I think it's minus 6 whole steps with the bar.
Yeah,
right?
you're dropping it down to a C note.
Correct. On the low E. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
What's a silent pull off?
Yeah, let me explain that. So a lot of times when you're doing, usually like a hammer-on or a pull-off is preceded by one or the other. Like if you're doing if you're going to do a pull-off, sometimes that's preceded by either a pick note or it's preceded by a hammer-on. So in this case, you're not hammering on, you're not picking, you're just grabbing the string and pulling off, not from a specific note. Your finger is somewhere over the 15th fret of the low E string at that point when you're doing that, what I call a silent pull off. So let's see. So my finger's right there.
Lift your guitar up. Lift your guitar up over your chin. Yeah, right there. We can see it now.
There you go.
Good.
Sorry. So you're up here at the 3rd fret of the A string. You're sliding up to around the 13th fret. And then that makes your middle finger land somewhere around the 15th fret. And you just, instead of fretting the note at the 15th fret, it's like a rubber band. You just go. And so then you drop it down 6 steps, and I think the note is C, like you said. But that's kind of the cool thing about the vintage Fender tremolo, and to a lesser degree on the Floyd Rose, is that when you do these pull-offs to sound that big growling note, you know, the string is like a just a boinging rubber band when you grab it in the middle of the string, and you just go,
yeah,
and it gives a unique sound, and that's kind of what's responsible for the really.
I equate that to say like a prop airplane coming down for a dive, that type of thing.
Right, and you cannot get that tone if you like just take your pick and go.
No,
it's not the same thing.
Right.
But this is where the growl comes in.
Wow. Yeah.
And then the next segment is like you've got your bar is dropped down -6 steps, and then with your middle finger again on the you hammer on. You do an actual hammer on to the note as the bar is being held -6 steps, and you hammer onto the 14th fret. That sounds the note of G.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Leanne.
So then you hammer onto that 14th fret, and then you do the same thing. You pull off to the open A. So that whole thing is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same thing. That's the whole sequence right there. And that has never been transcribed correctly to my knowledge. I've never seen anybody play that right or write it down in any kind of official tab in a magazine or a book or demonstrate it in a video lesson yet.
So play an open A chord now, and let's see how badly out of tune your guitar is.
It's not.
Nice. Good, cool.
And that's the thing. And the reason why that is that the process of using the whammy bar, of just depressing the bar and releasing it, gets the guitar back in tune. And I've talked about that before, about how I believe Eddie kept the guitar in tune. Anytime you go out of tune, even slightly, if you either purposefully play a passage where you're using the whammy bar by just depressing it and releasing it, you can either play something like that, or you can just do a silent dive in between phrases. You know, you can go, you can just take your bar and go, and then you'll be in tune. And a lot of times Eddie will purposely, and I talked about this in another video we did, where, basically the sequences are dictated by when he uses the bar to get back in tune after he's done a left-hand bend, whether it's like a half-step bend or a whole step bend or even a 1.5 step bend. Like, let me see if I can think of an example, like in I'm the One, So Eddie did some licks. He has this whole sequence that is cool, but at the end of that sequence, he does just a dip with the whammy bar.
Mm-hmm.
So him just doing that sequence is just getting the guitar back in tune. It's like, he plays that passage, and the byproduct of him just using the bar and dipping down, and that's part of why he had the bridge all the way back up against the body, is that, when you're just dipping the bar, it gets the guitar back in tune. And so here I'll play a G chord, just. And it's not 100% because, again, I'm not in tune with the record, but you'll see that in a couple of passages. Let me see, where's another one? Like, he does a fill, and I'm the one that goes. And so that might knock an average Fender out of tune by doing a 1.5 step bend on the B string. It's a Jimmy Page lick that he throws in there, a B.B. King Jimmy Page lick. It just goes. So I'm in tune, and he's able to go back and do a bar chord at the a C bar chord, C major bar chord, and then go into the D. You know. And the only reason he's able to do that is because he's actually done a bar dive. So, you know. So he hits, there's all these little in-between moments where he'll either quickly do a bar dive that's silent, or he'll play a passage where he does a bar dive, or he plays a passage that doesn't involve using chords. He'll go to single notes. Single notes are harder to tell when it's out of tune than it is when you play a chord.
You ain't kidding.
So that's the whole thing. He can play bends and not necessarily have time to dip the bar to get it back in tune, but he'll play a sequence that's just single notes, so nobody can really hear how out of tune it is, if it is out of tune at all. Like, let's see, what's another sequence from...
Will says, oh man, can you hear that, Dave?
Yes.
We got some, if Dave and I talk, there's some major echo. Will says that's a Page lick from Led Zeppelin 2, that lick you just did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's from Hall of Love. It's also a B.B. King lick, yeah.
Charlie S., this is not straight whiskey, although right now I wish it was. No, this is just Earl Grey.
23 people watching at the moment, 15 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another thing in that next sequence that's after that B string pull off lick that we were talking about. Yeah. So a lot of people transcribe this next section, which goes. People transcribe that as a bend. A lot of times, it's not a bend. It's just the same sequence of this little blue note blues lick where he's playing the 8th fret. Yes. So it's. Yeah, and it's not a bend. It's actually just playing the 7th fret.
Yeah.
You got it. So a lot of times So that's how that goes, and again, it's easier. And then you conclude the lick by going to the 4th fret of the D string to set up the next sequence. So it's, you know. You know, and all that.
All right, what's the next lick?
That next lick is a little more complicated. There's, like, every section is something that's new, that's not been transcribed correctly before. So even that next section. So that whole next section, it's actually, there's almost no picking going on there. It's just, so you do the little walk up. Yeah, so after it's up, so yeah, you go from the 4th fret of the D string to the, the 6th fret of the D string. I'm sorry, 6th fret of the D string.
Gotcha.
And you go up to the 4th fret of the G string. And then you hit the 5th fret of the G string, a little walk up. Right. So, are, you know, with some artificial harmonics in there, so it's. And then the next note is to hit the 7th fret of the G string with your pinky. So you're going, and then you just play the 7th fret of the G string, no artificial harmonic, just play the 7th fret of the G string, and then you do a pull off sequence. So it's.
Yeah.
So you're pulling off, picking the 5th fret of the G string, pulling off to the 5th fret of the G string. And it's all hammer-ons and pull-offs there for a minute. It's just. So it's down at the 7th fret of the G string, pull off to the 5th fret of the G string, and then you hammer back to the 7th fret of the G string. So
nope.
yeah, you're getting there. Now, what's interesting about that is every transcription we've seen that the sequence kind of concludes on the 7th fret of the D string with a picked note. That's not picked. That's a silent hammer on that part. So it's actually.
Yep.
So that whole section where he's repeating those things, it's all done with the silent hammer with the picking on the 7th fret of the D string.
Right. Okay.
And the interesting thing about that is he's also palm muting at various points there too. It's just only a few notes are palm muted.
Okay.
So it's easier to, when we have the transcription finished, it's a lot easier to see what we're talking about and follow along in our transcription, because you can really see the picking directions and all the hammer-ons and all the articulations, because I put in, where it's palm muted, where it's not palm muted, where it's an artificial harmonic. I've transcribed the pitch of the artificial harmonic on each thing, so you know exactly where to put your pick to get the artificial harmonic. And but it was interesting as we started digging into this, because all of these things that I took for granted are really something else. And there's a purpose behind taking all this time to get eruption correct and also I'm working on I'm the One with a little help from Bill, and I've got that pretty much done as well. And I'm the One has got a ton of really, really interesting things that have never been correctly transcribed or played in any format that I've seen too.
Mm-hmm.
How do you play the main riff in that?
In I'm the One?
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing too. That was, as far as I can tell, that lick, the main riff was pretty much transcribed correctly in the official transcription, but there are a few little tiny notes and scratches that are in keeping with that kind of weird swing rhythm that will help you. I'll try to do it really slow, and hopefully you can hear me. So it's I wish you had the tab in front of you with the picking directions, because it's just easier to follow along with that than me. But so let's see. I'll play it real slow. So it's
so it's all on that one string.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all on that one. What is it? Is it the A?
It's actually on 3 strings. The riff is the open A string. It's the open A string, and then the D string, and the 5th fret of the D string.
But that whole rhythm, that whole crazy swing that you were talking about, that's all on one string?
Yeah, that's just the A string.
So it's it's the in-between part. It's like the middle part of like the chord.
Yeah,
play it fast, play it at speed. Play it at speed, please.
Sure. So there's like a little quick hit.
See, it doesn't sound like that to me. That's weird.
Did you say Dagado?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, because
Somebody asked what a
So there's like
cement
that
was
little
earlier. Is that a bag of dough?
This is what I'm probably doing it wrong. Ah. No, I can't do it. Like that.
That was an interesting pick because I wasn't playing it right either. I wasn't getting that little extra hit in the main riff.
Doesn't that sound? It's dumb. Isn't that it?
Yeah, so it's actually you're actually right before you do the little bent 2-note power chord at the D and G string, you're hitting that open A string again. So it's
Okay. All right. So, yeah, the open A before you go to the next. Ah, shit.
Oh.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is a weird swing.
And I think that's another reason why just about everybody that tries to play that song completely fails, because they don't get those little in between things
Completely,
going, and it throws their rhythm off.
Completely fails. Hey, Mark.
Sorry, but if anybody can, I've never seen anyone actually play it correctly. Not anyone. Other than Eddie, I've never seen anybody play I'm the One, even just the main riff correctly. Almost nobody is on time. I've never seen anybody play that in time.
Yeah, it's tough.
Period. Yeah.
I think my speakers came.
Hello.
I think
What speakers?
Speakers for an amplifier. I think UPS just left.
Oh, I was like, I didn't know that speakers could do that.
Hey, come on. Hey, Mark. Hey, hey, Adam. Swing wannabe, says guitar wannabe. Dave,
Yeah,
I think your guitar has an extra stripe that his doesn't have.
What?
Look where where the star would be on the 5150.
Yeah.
Look at that stripe right there.
This one here. This one that's going there.
No.
Well, this one.
Yes.
Yeah, this is I trust this because Scott Smith he's that cuckoo when it comes to building these things and making the stripes correct. So I think that stripe is actually there on Ed's, or was on there.
Wait, it looks like you got stripes on the other one too.
What?
Move that hand where the hand is.
You mean down here?
Yeah, right there. Look at that stripe.
That's a pinstripe. That's on it. That's on the original.
The same? It looks really thick.
It's on it. No.
Can I say that?
So enough about the paint jobs. So the other little lick is really cool. Check this out. The rest of that lick, and I'm the one that part is really interesting, and that's not transcribed quite correctly, but it's almost correct. But there's like these little there's some little rhythmic things that he does that's between the riff, and it's kind of that same thing that we were just doing in Eruption, where you're doing the pull off from the 8th to the 7th to the 5th. So you're hitting you do the pull off from the 8th to the 7th to the 5th on the G string, and then you play the 7th fret of the D string there. Yeah.
Now what's the last part of that lick?
Okay, so the lick goes.
You got to bring your guitar up so we can see it, because our faces are right there.
Okay. All right. How's that? Better?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. See if I can get that better. Okay. So the lick is, and here's the thing that kind of helps me. I'm playing the lick on the G string with my ring middle, and index finger. So the ring is on the 8th fret, the middle is on the 7th fret, and the index is on the 5th fret. And then when I go to the 7th fret of the D string, I'm using my middle finger on that 7th fret of the G string, or the D string rather. So it's, and it's a hammer-on from the 7th, from the 5th to the 7th.
Yep, I got you. I got you there.
But here's the interesting part. Right after that, it goes. Let's see. I'll try to play the lick and see if you can hear where I'm doing something different. There's a little.
Yeah,
It's basically muted on the 7th fret and kind of muted on the 5th fret before you go back into the. So it's. Got that?
Yeah.
So that little 2-note sequence, which is not really super articulated, but it's there.
Yeah, I got it. But wait, what's that? What's the last part of that?
Which part? Okay, so then, and this is transcribed correctly in the book, but it goes. And then you do a pull off to the open D. So that's pull off to the open D, and then the 3rd fret of the A string, the 4th fret of the A string, and then the 2nd fret of the G string. So there's another. You go from the 2nd fret of the A string up to repeat the sequence. There's 2 little rhythmic muted hits again. So you're going. There's a little. So when you're down here at the 2nd fret of the G string, you're going to go. Let's see. So there's a little.
Like a kickstart.
So those little hits are part of the rhythm, and people miss the lick a lot. So. You got it.
I'm gonna do it slow. I can't get my fingers to do it. That's it.
Yeah. And then when you go back up to repeat the sequence, you have to do a little 2-note chuck. So you're going. So it's like.
Yeah, but then.
So it's like chuck, chuck. So you're going chuck, chuck. So, so that little, there's a couple of different things. Like I said, those little rhythmic things that are right in between is what makes the riff work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys can hear that because it's really a fine distinction.
Yeah, I hear it. I can hear it everything perfectly.
Okay. I'll play the whole sequence again and try to do it a little slower.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Let me try that again.
It's hard to do it slowly.
We'll just slow this video down.
So
you can play videos backwards too.
I know, really.
Do you you really played that last note on the low E string with your pinky instead of playing the E note on the
Yes, the very first time, just the very first time he does that, and I'll explain why. So the thing is he wouldn't play, and this is my logic, and this is why I played that one time. I play that C note on the 8th fret of the 6th string. I'll either do a silent hammer on or I'll just pick it really quickly, but I go, because you have to get back in position to be able to hit this first note on the 5th fret. And it's a jump
start again. It's a jump start to that lick again.
Yes, and you can, when you slow it down, you can really hear it because you don't have enough.
That's just the way he did it on the record, because it's hard to hear him doing that live. The way it's hard to hear him doing that jump start each time live. Maybe it's just flubbing. Maybe he's just flubbing it live, but.
Well, granted, most of the time he's playing that walk down and going down to the, he's going down to the 3rd fret of the A string most of the time. But the only time that I hear him doing it, and it's part of the whole rhythmic thing, because he's rushing the beat a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he does that a lot, but and he's basically rushing from the end of that sequence to the beginning of the next one. So he's. So it's just a quick, you're jumping from that 8th fret of the 6th string to the 5th fret of the G string. So.
Yeah, and if you count it, it sounds correct. It's on the end.
You got it, exactly. Yeah. And those are the little things that make people not able to play the riff correctly, because they don't have the time. They're missing all these notes that keep them in that swing rhythm, and they're missing like these little sections where the beat is rushed and people get lost in the beat. You're not, if you don't go, if you don't rush that a little bit, you're not beginning the riff at the right time.
Right. Johnny, why do you look like a deer in the headlights?
Huh?
Why do you look like you're all glazed over like a deer in the headlights?
It's my second cup of tea.
And put a pickup in that neck pickup area.
I'm trying to stay awake here. Come on.
Come on. This is not that bad. This is actually a good This is a good lesson. I'm actually having a good time.
Yeah. Although Craig, Guitar Wannabe says he has to redo all his videos now.
Okay. So go do it, Craig. Or no, Craig.
Craig.
So that's part of my plan is.
This is nice.
Part of my plan is to actually go back and do a video of me playing through "I'm the One" and "Eruption" that goes along with the tab when I get them completed. I don't know if I'll do a whole lesson because it's hard to do a lesson video. I mean, it's just difficult. You got to be really conversant with video editing, and if I had Eric Broadbent sitting here helping me do it with him working the camera and doing all the video editing and getting the sound perfect, it would be great. But I don't have Eric, and I can't fly to Canada right now. So.
Bring him to you. Where are you at?
I know, right? Houston, Texas. So that was another. I had shown you there was the silent hammer on that part in Eruption. And there's a really, really, really light palm mute there.
Bring your guitar up a little bit. Our faces are covering your fingers.
Oh,
especially Dave's.
That's it.
That silent hammer-on thing with the pinky happens a lot of places in "I'm the One." Like the very first solo of "I'm the One," he's doing a similar lick where it's so he's doing that same kind of thing. So it's the lick is upstroke on the G string at the 6th fret, and then a downstroke on the 7th fret of the G string, and then an upstroke on the 9th fret of the G string. So that G string sequence is, and it's important to start it with an upstroke on that 6th fret. So you're picking all of those notes.
Come on, fingers.
You're picking the first
Yeah, I got it.
So it's up, down, down, and hammer from the 6th fret to the 7th fret.
Right, yeah.
And then it's when you got that sequence on the G string, you add a silent hammer on with the pinky on the 9th fret of the D string. So that whole sequence is.
Oh, I've been picking the last note, but it shouldn't be.
And so did I for all my life until Bill showed me. You can't. There's no pick attack on it. It's just a really soft, heavy, well-hit hammer on, silent hammer on. And then, of course, while all this is going on, you're palm muting to a degree. There's light palm muting going on, so it's like, let's see. So, but that whole sequence is another example, just another example of that silent hammer on.
The funny thing is he uses that exact lick in Sucker in a Three-Piece. That exact lick in Sucker in a Three-Piece. They lifted it from one song to the other.
Yeah, it's in the same key too, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That whole sequence, both licks in both songs are in the same songs.
Well, and then that's another sequence that's done in Spanish Fly, except it goes
half step lower.
Yeah. So let's see.
That sounded just like it. That's cool. That sounded just like it. You're my new best buddy when it comes to this stuff, dude. Johnny, you're out.
Like Spanish Fly and I'm the One and Eruption all have similar things, and they're doing that silent hammer-on thing on that D string. You hear it all, like, see, so here's Spanish Fly again. Of course, Spanish Fly is tuned down an entire step, not a half step, but an entire step.
Of course.
And it's got another weird alternative tuning on it, so it's really, really, really low.
Yeah, that's because he was playing just a jacked up Ovation nylon string guitar from the 70s. That's why the action was 3 feet off the fretboard. Had to be tuned down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it had to be, but I can tell you this: it sure as hell helps to play that song.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. To have the floppiness of the strings, it just makes all this stuff's really. It contributes to the sound of the record, I think. But yeah, you're gonna hear that lick all over the place, So, and the trick, one of the other tricks of that lick is the fact that you start those sequences with an upstroke.
Yeah.
The upstroke has a real popping, like almost chicken picking kind of sound that you cannot get with a downstroke. So that was a big revelation for me. When you listen to Spanish Fly, it almost sounds like chicken picking because it's got that upstroke on that note in the beginning of
Yeah, it gives you. That's right. Yeah.
So that was kind of a cool thing to see where that silent hammer-on comes in with the pinky, and then palm muting at the same time. It seems crazy that you would be palm muting something that you're already struggling to get out with only hammer-ons and pull-offs and not picking. Most of the time when people do palm muting, they're doing it in conjunction with picking.
Mm-hmm.
But here's Eddie doing silent hammer-ons and pull-offs while doing palm muting. It's like they work against each other. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that guy's cray-cray.
He is cray-cray. So yeah, interruption. It's like. So it's like, yeah.
Hard to do that clean, isn't it? With no distortion. No gain. Hard to do it.
Well, it's not really hard for me to do it because that's how I do it all the time.
Now I'm going to have you play it on a telly through a twin.
Oh, look out. Here it comes.
Oh, no.
Well, your speakers just got there too?
Of course, it'll be in a different tuning, but let's see. Whoa, my daughter tuned this in a weird tuning.
Oh, it kind of sounds cool, actually.
Play it like that.
Oh, yeah. She just jacked down my high E string here.
So, Dave, your speakers got there?
I think, yeah, I think I have a set of eminent speakers to go in a 212 amp. I think at the cane.
So,
come on, Alan. My battery's down to like 22%.
Andy, his speakers out there. Just say if to use the bathroom.
Here, I'm going to do that little eruption sequence on this telly in standard tuning.
Okay.
So, let's see.
That sounds better.
It sounds like 1986 all over again.
That guitar sounds better than the other one. It's louder.
Well, yeah, it's an older piece of wood. What is that? Like a 68 telly?
Oh, I wish it was. It is it's a 50s style telly. It's a
well, not with a rosewood fretboard, it ain't.
Yeah, what it is? Well, they had them in the late 50s. They started putting them on in 59.
Okay.
But this is a Fender Japan from the 80s neck. That came from a 57 reissue Fender Japan telly. And then the body is a 57 reissue American 80s telly body.
Wow.
This guitar originally had a maple neck, but I swapped it with another guitar, or the guy that sold me the guitar, my guitar technician, told me I could get the rosewood neck from another guitar from this Fender Japan. So it's a combination, Japan neck and American body.
So it's more like the Jimmy Page telly.
Sounds like all my guitars.
Yes, and and this this is sort of like my Steve Cropper telly, but at the time I got this when I was like 16, and this was like one of my main guitars. But yeah, see, this guitar has 11s on it. This has got GHS medium.
That's why it's a bigger sound. That's why it sounds better, Johnny. Bigger string.
Yeah. Well, also this has brass compensated saddles and all that kind of stuff. But
can you see the grain through that finish?
Yes, you can.
Is there grain there?
Yes, you can. Yeah, it's a great guitar. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah, on the back you can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting, the silent hammer-on thing, and I'll tell you one other thing that I got from doing Spanish Fly and working on I'm the One. These little the sequence.
So wait a minute. So you what strings were on your other guitar you just played?
The other guitar had my.
So you're jumping from 9s to 11s?
Yes.
He's good like that.
Goodness.
I gotta go to the front door. You're gonna have to give me a second. All right, guys?
Oh, sure, no problem.
Man, from 9s to 11s? Ow. Have you been playing 11s your whole life?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing. I played 11s from the time I was like 14 until I was like in my 30s, and I'm 44 now. Like I only switched to 9s like within the last 4 years.
Oh man. So not when you play 9s, you must be like, oh, this is nothing, you know?
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's a different thing. I mean, I think it's probably easier to go from the thicker strings to the thin strings than it is to go from having played on the thin strings to go to the thick strings, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when I go from bass to guitar is super easy after that.
Right. It's exactly the same thing. Yeah, when you're sitting there playing bass, bass is such a great play. I love playing bass. I'm really terrible. I'm not a good bass player, and it's a struggle for me, but I love it. But yeah, when I go from playing bass, or anybody goes from playing bass, even if you play a bass with light strings on it, you're still going to have some, residual Superman strength when you go onto a electric guitar with 9s on it.
Oh yeah.
So you can, let me change guitars because this one's not really in tune with whatever you guys were doing. So let me ask you, Johnny, since Dave's not here, I'll ask you, which is what I meant to do earlier, was
Dave's not here.
And I know you are not, you don't, maybe in the past you did, but I know you don't really study the Van Halen music like note for note by any stretch, and I know you don't really work on that very much, if at all, anymore. Maybe less now than you did when you were younger, but when you were playing that opening eruption lick that we were first talking about, how did you play it?
Huh?
This part of eruption, how did you play it?
I don't know if I ever played that.
Okay, so you never worked on.
Well,
no, and I believe you. I believe you.
I mean,
it's funny.
I basically, when I was first learning, I basically took more of like the technique rather than like the actual notes of the stuff, I basically I was more it was more inspiring to watch his fingers and watch him play. It inspired me to play to just play, not necessarily try to copy everything the guy did,
Right.
which is very cool. Very cool.
I just wondered because it's sort of typical for people to try to learn eruption. So I mean, it's like I figured you might have actually tried to learn that one because most people will just try.
I learned bits and pieces of it, little parts here and there. But it wasn't like I had to learn exactly everything, note for note or even super close.
Right. I'm just curious if you played it any differently. It was funny you said that the other guitar was louder. I was actually playing this plugged into my amp.
I know.
But I was playing the telly was unplugged. Telly wasn't even plugged in.
I know. I noticed that. Did your speakers arrive?
Yeah.
No, he's asking me if my speakers arrived. No, they didn't.
Yeah. Was that what that was?
No, they didn't. There's people outside.
Do they want in?
Huh?
Do they bring them in?
No.
So,
thank you for
one
watching.
more thing that I could show that So I'm back to this other guitar. Is your B in standard tuning?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
I could switch. If you want, you can hold on. You can use the B there. Let me switch to my other guitar that's in standard tuning.
B string or the B guitar?
My B guitar.
But what
It's close. It's close to standard. I don't know if it's exactly in.
Yeah, you're in standard, and I'm close enough to you.
Gross.
Sorry, it's the drink I just had, or I'm having.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually great. You guys got to try this. This is that sparkling ice.
Here's the
but
commercial.
This is the pink grapefruit. It is amazing. Pink grapefruit. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That looks pretty interesting.
No calories. 0 calories, 0 sugar.
I'm having the Tazo Earl Grey. This is my second cup, and I'm wired, man.
Yeah, and you're ready to go.
You wouldn't. Oh, I've gone several times. Speaking of that, though, yeah, we're going on. How long have we been on? Hour and a half?
Well,
yeah.
It's actually nice outside now.
We can call it whenever you want. I could go over like one more lick.
One more lick. Yeah, give us one more lick. Do it. Do it.
Okay.
No talking though.
We can do it in standard tuning. We can do this in standard tuning, but
what guitar is that? Is that
licks in Spanish Fly that start climbing up the neck, and you see Eddie do those little licks. You know
I think it's an Eric Clapton guitar.
You know those licks.
Yes. Does that guitar have 22 frets or 21?
22. Let me see. Let me see.
Really? You got to count from all the way down there?
I'm bad at math. Yeah, it's 22.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it looked kind of like a first year, which in the first year only they had 21 frets. Yeah, I got you. It's a Clapton.
This is an 89.
Hey, Richard.
89.
Yeah, we're live. He can't believe it. He's like live now. It's like a dream come true.
Really? Because it's a nightmare to me.
Dude, you haven't been sitting here for 2 hours.
So the lick in Spanish Fly a lot of times, and there's similar licks in I'm the One, and there's a part of a rut. Do what?
Are those 11s?
These are 9s on the Clapton.
Yeah, because they're tiny, tiny frets.
But this Spanish Fly lick, a lot of people would play this sequence. It's on the B and the E string and the high E string, and a lot of people would play it with just a sequence of hammer-ons and picking only the first note. So people would play it like this. That's not what's going on, and you can see this more easily when you look at Eddie playing the live solos through the years. But what he's doing is he is actually picking every single note. He's going. So that was an interesting thing that I discovered when I was working on Spanish Fly, I'm the One with Bill. If you listen to the Spanish Fly recording, it really sounds like he is hammering on, but he's not. He's actually picking all 3 notes, but he's slightly palm muting at the same time. So it's a little like. So
all right, this is what I want you to do. Slowly, I want you to give the correct fingering as you're going up that scale.
Okay.
But do it in tab. Don't do it. I don't need to know the notes. You don't need to tell anyone the notes. Just do first. Or half step, whole step like that. Half step, whole step type deal.
Yeah, I can do it with the fret numbers because that's how I usually do it. But the beginning of that sequence is on the B string. It's 7, 8, and 10. And so that starts with a downstroke, then an upstroke, and then a downstroke.
Right. Yeah.
But the trick that comes up next is that a lot of times people would start the sequence on the high E at the same frets at the 7th, 8th, and 10th. people would start that with the downstroke.
No, it has to be an upstroke. It's
an
got to be
upstroke.
fluid. Yeah.
And that's another example of that upstroke giving you that really quacking pop sound that's almost like chicken picking. And that's why Eddie's picking sounds so aggressive on those sequences. But he's sort of semi-palm muting, a very light palm mute on the B string. Then he goes to the heavy picking upstroke on the high E. So the high E is not palm muted, but the B string is. So it's it's basically the same sequence when you move up, but it's you play that sequence twice. Then the next sequence is 8, 10, and 12.
Yeah.
And then you do the same sequence twice on still the same string. Then it becomes
10, 12,
10,
14.
14. Yeah.
Then 12, 13, 15.
Yes. Except that last sequence is just one time you're going. So that the way the sequence ends is up, down, up, and then pull off from the 15th to the 13th to the 12th. And then the very last note is another one of those silent hammer-ons on the 15th fret of the B string.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then it's a A minor arpeggio that happens next, and that's the. So I play it with all 4 fingers. I use the index finger on the 12th fret of the high E, the middle finger on the 13th fret of the B string, and the middle finger on the 14th fret of the D string, and the pinky on the 15th fret of the D string. And then you play the open D strings.
Got it.
And the trick with that, again, is that using the upstroke on the high E when you do those sequences, and then that very last part where you do the silent hammer on the 15th fret of the B string. And you really got to hammer that 15th fret of the B string really cleanly and really hard. But that's what Eddie's doing.
Ah. Oh, it's downstroke when you're hitting the open strings.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah, and I use an upstroke, or I use a downstroke in the 12th fret of the high E on that very last A minor arpeggio sequence, and then I do downstrokes for the rest of it.
Oh. And so does he. Now I can see him doing it.
Yeah. Exactly. And then that same type of lick happens in twice in I'm the One, except it's up on the 15th, 17th, and 19th frets of the B and high E. So he does that twice, and it'd probably be easier for me to do for I'm the One to do it on the half step down guitar.
Yeah, sure.
So let me grab that.
Yeah, that's my new lick. I'm sorry.
Great. And that little, it's a cool little.
See, Adam.
See, when I was a kid, I used to do that. I didn't even, when I very first started learning it, I didn't realize that last little sequence was just the open B and E. I think because in Steve Vai's transcription, he had it as a power chord on the D and G strings, which is totally not what it is. I used to go, which is not right.
Right. You can hear it. I don't know. Steve, gotta love Steve. But you know, you can hear it.
Yeah, you can
You can hear it being
clear.
It's just you can hear.
Yeah, you can hear it. It's really unmistakable, but he mistook it. So yeah, in I'm the One, it's one of the fills where it's let's see. Let me see. Oh yeah. So yeah, there's that little sequence right before the second solo where he plays some of the riffs and he throws in these little fills. And the first one of them is, and it's the same thing at 15, 17, and 19.
I don't care what anyone says. Eddie Van Halen is the king of 3 notes per string. He's the king.
Yeah,
the king of 3 notes per string. Gary, you know, I understand. You know, I understand the Paul Gilbert guys and all them. But man, just forget it. Eddie's the king. That's all there is.
What sometimes people mess those licks up too is that it is actually rhythmically it's sextuplets. It's not triplets. It's a sequence of 6 notes, and sometimes people get the timing wrong because they play it.
It's not just 3 notes per string; it's a whole lick. It's a lick of 6 notes.
Right, and so they're rhythmically together as opposed to being split apart in 3s. It's not. And it's a real fine distinction, but it's sextuplets and triplets.
Hey, watch your language.
I know, right? I had sextuplets.
Can he say that?
Yeah, you can't say that here. So, but that little lick and I'm the One, and again, those licks in Spanish Fly and I'm the One and Eruption, because it happens in Eruption where he goes, let's see. Let me see.
Now play it correctly.
Hold your guitar up.
You know, just think Beatles. Think Beatles. Think George Harrison.
Yeah, so I'm not going to show the Eruption lick because that's a little the notes are a little bit weird. But in I'm the One and in Spanish Fly, those sextuplets are done, as I said, it's on the B string, it's down, up, down, and then when you go to the high E string, it's up, down, up. Yeah. Okay? But the thing that makes those licks work is the pick slanting, because Eddie, when he does those licks, he becomes a downward pick slanter, and I'll try to see if I can get the camera to catch this. But when he's playing those licks, he has the pick angled towards the ground, so that the tip of the pick is actually pointing up towards your face.
Yeah, I got you.
So what that enables you to do is it lets you get the picking more smooth, because when you're transitioning up to the high E, you're actually hopping over the high E and coming back up to do the upstroke on the high E on those licks. So that downward pick slanting makes that work better. And it's sort of a loose feel. It's like. So that was kind of an interesting thing. And I still have to consciously make myself downward pick slant, because it's not something that's natural to me. But it's key to making those licks work. So I just have to sit there and just practice that for just ever, and make myself, I have to remember to do that downward pick slanting, because it's not something that's natural, but it really helps it work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still relatively in tune.
So am I. I'm so proud of myself. I put a vintage nut on this. A vintage. Can you guys see that? You guys
hang
don't.
on, they can't. Hang on, they can't see that. They can't see that. Hang on.
Oh,
I was presenting Alan.
presenting Alan. Yeah, I put a vintage prototype nut on this guitar to make it look more like the original.
Yes. Rob really loves you too much, David.
To give me both his cool guitars?
Yeah, which are infinitely, I'm sorry, they're infinitely better than the EVH. I'm just sorry.
You know, they're both very cool, but you know, these are just replicas. The other ones are you know, they're the official guitar. And I think that's what he wanted, was the official guitar.
I still love you, Rob. But I still think David got the sweetheart deal out of that. Yeah, I'm almost perfectly in tune still, so I'm just checking my tuning right quick, and I sure am.
You just say
so anyway, that's some of the licks. I mean, I could keep. Here's kind of a funny little thing. This is not so much a lick, but it's something that's helpful when playing "I'm the One," especially the opening, the very beginning. I used to. There's a little sequence there in the intro. I'll try to play it real quick.
So play that lick slow. Yeah, I always play that wrong. That's not slow.
I know. Well, that wasn't even the part I was trying to show you, but what I used to, the very last part of that lick is, it's the 7th fret of the D string to the 5th fret of the D string, and then a pull off to the open D. Okay, so it's.
Yeah, right. Oh, I'm got the wrong guitar.
Yeah, if you want to switch guitars again.
Oh, you're a pain in the ass.
I know.
Back to a guitar that's out of tune.
Okay, so that last part of the lick is.
Yeah, that I got. That's the only part of the lick that I do have. What's the rest of it?
Well, I can show you that one later, but that might take me a minute. But what I wanted to say was...
Only a minute?
It'll take me a long time, but well, it won't take that long. But basically, that I used to have trouble. I knew how to play the opening lick correctly, and I could play it in time. It's kind of fast, but I got it. But that part has artificial harmonics. That last part, it's you know.
You just gotta pinch the pick.
Yeah, but the thing is, I used to hold the pick like normally and play that whole sequence, you know, because I didn't, I couldn't figure out how to play that sequence holding my pick normally and then choke back up on the pick really quickly to do that last little sequence to get the artificial harmonics. So my little brainstorm about this was that, well, I've got to figure out how to play that whole lick while in artificial harmonic position where I've choked way up on the pick, right? So that may seem like an obvious thing to a lot of people. It wasn't obvious to me. I did not get it. It took me all this time. I mean, I was literally working on this like about a week ago before I finally figured out how to get my pick in the right position. But basically you have to play the whole lick, like actually start the whole riff, play the whole beginning of the song with your pick in that artificial harmonic position. And as you listen to the record, you can hear Eddie randomly striking artificial harmonics in that segment. And I think that's because he started off with it with his pick in that position to make the artificial harmonics. So he's just. So anyway, that just took me forever to figure out how to get in position with my right hand to get the artificial harmonics out. So. And if you want to, I don't know if you guys have time. Let's see what.
I just choked him. That's all.
Oh my goodness! No choking on here. You can't do that.
So, if you want me to go through that little phrase, I can do that too. If you guys have time.
Slowly. That'll be where we end.
Well.
Okay, sounds
slowly, but hurry.
Slowly with no talking.
I still haven't eaten yet.
Johnny's about to...
Well, John, that's your fault. He hates when I say.
So let's see. It's that thing is. I like to break it into two phrases.
Just do it.
So it's the beginning of the phrase is, and of course it's hard to do. It's like you have to get the right picking directions, and it's just easier to look at the tab, but. This lick was correctly transcribed in the official book. So if you want to really see how to do it, you can look in the official book. But you need to have the right picking direction, right-hand picking direction to make it work. So the very first phrase is...
What? Go ahead.
So I'll do it slower, trust me. So you start with a downstroke on the 5th fret of the G string. And then you pull off to the open G.
Okay.
And another guy that has this correct, Doug Steele, has this part correct.
Hang on. Don't go anywhere. Don't you move.
Okay.
Don't you move.
Wait, your speakers are here?
No.
Now you're changing.
All right, so we got 2 chords. We got 2 notes, I mean.
Right. So that's a downstroke on the 5th fret of the G string and pull off to the open G. And then you do an upstroke on the 7th fret of the D string. So. Now the next part is a downstroke on the 5th fret of the B string. And then pull off to the open B. And then the next note is. And it's a stroke on the 7th fret.
I got it. I got those 3. I got those 6.
So then it's a pull off to the 5th fret of the G string from the 7th fret. Yeah, so pull off from the 7th fret of the G string to the 5th fret of the G string, and then you actually pick the open G string and palm mute it. So yeah, so you do a downstroke on that open G string. Yeah, so remember to do the pull off from the 7th fret to the 5th fret. So do it.
Okay.
You got it. And that last note is an upstroke on the 7th fret of the D string.
Okay.
And it's critical to get those pick strokes correct, the downs and ups, because that's what makes the lick work.
I got it.
And it's really not much picking, it's just a lot of picking.
Yeah. Oh, it's twice?
No, I was just playing it twice. I was just repeating
Oh,
it.
okay.
So that's the first phrase.
Okay, I got that.
So yeah,
Got it. Okay.
play it again. Make sure that you're pulling off from the 7th fret of the G string to the 5th fret of the G string in that part.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
and then it's the last note is an upstroke.
Correct, on the 7th fret of the D
Wow,
string.
that's tough. Got it.
And you're palm muting those last 2 notes, lightly palm muting on the open G and on the 7th.
Okay.
Now the next phrase is played faster, and it's rushed. And this is another phrase where the last note of that first phrase is rushed into the next note of the beginning note of the next phrase.
Okay.
So he's going.
Ooh.
So he plays this next phrase way faster than that opening phrase, and he's cramming way more notes in there. So the next phrase is let me try it again. Okay, so the next phrase begins with a downstroke on the 5th fret of the E string.
E string?
No, I'm sorry, the B string.
B string.
5th fret of the B string, yeah. And then another pull, and then you pull off to the open B. So yeah, so then it's actually easier than it sounds, but it's you're doing a downstroke on the 5th fret of the B string, pulling off to the open B. So then that next sequence is 7/5 open.
Got it. I got it already.
You'll see. Yeah, so it's 5th fret of the B string, pull off to the open B string, and then the 7th fret of the G, pull off to the 5th fret of the G string, pull off to the open G, and then an upstroke on the 7th fret of the D.
Okay.
So on the first phrase, he's actually he picks. He plays the same notes, but he plays them slightly differently. So it sounds different, but. It's one of these things where it's hard for me to slow it down, but let me see. Okay, so right after that 7th fret of the D string, you're going to do a downstroke on the 5th fret of the G, and then pull off to the open G. Yeah, so
let me get this. Let me get this straight. Let me get this right. I'm going to do it really slow.
Okay.
Don't worry about my finger. I just want to get the notes correct right now.
Okay.
So it's.
It's tough because the two phrases are very, very similar.
Do it again. Do the whole lick, but slow.
I'll do it real slow. And And here's the second phrase.
Okay.
So the next part is after you've picked the upstroke of the 7th fret of the D string, then you go to the 5th fret of the D string, pull off to the open G again. So
Is that it?
yeah, yeah, you got it. That's what it is. So that's the pull off from the 5th fret of the open of the G string, open G string, then the 7th fret of the D string. Let's see. Yeah, so it's back to the 7th fret of the D. Pick that with an upstroke, and then you hit the 5th fret of the D with a downstroke, and then you pull off to the open D. So yeah, you got it. That's exactly right. Then you upstroke on the 7th fret of the A string, and then you begin that little artificial harmonic walk down. So that's the whole sequence. I'll play it all the way through.
Okay.
But the interesting thing about those two phrases is that once you get done with that first phrase, you have to rush right into doing the second one. And you're playing it really fast, and you're going.
Right.
It's almost like there's almost no space between the end of the first phrase and the beginning of the second phrase.
Jeez. Okay.
And the funny thing is, like I've seen people try to do play-alongs to that part and the entire song, and they can't play it because they're not listening to when Eddie is rushing the beat and rushing from one phrase into another or holding back a little bit rhythmically. So you've got that's what makes that lick work, and it's that rushing into the second phrase. Right. And for me, that wasn't even the hardest part. That for me was pretty easy. For me to figure out how to play that while having my pick in artificial harmonic position, where my thumb is digging down to get the artificial harmonic on that last sequence.
Yeah.
That was the part that boggled me, and now that I've figured it out, it's like that was a light bulb moment. So.
Wow. Cool.
Awesome. Man.
So anyway, that's the whole.
That sounds just like it. That's crazy.
See, and that's that whole other sequence at that second fill of "I'm the One." That's a whole other thing. Those two opening fills are very similar.
Gus, it's almost the same. It's almost the same notes in the ending part of the solo to Jump.
It's exactly, yeah, very similar. It's the same picking patterns, and although that's the weird thing is like there's certain those two licks that I just played from On the One sound very, very similar, and they're almost identical, but yet he throws in some interesting things that are not exactly the same in each sequence. Like he does a silent hammer-on in this fill. And again, he's doing that popping thing from Spanish Fly where you do the upstroke on that first note of the sequence on the G string. So here's Spanish Fly. And here's this lick.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. And then he's doing a silent, at that part, he's doing a silent hammer-on the 14th fret of the D string. So I can do that really slow. But there's real subtle differences in those two things, and working on those two licks, it's like I had to figure out that relationship between those and Spanish Fly, and I had to really, really listen to hear like that one little silent hammer-on thing. Bill caught that. I didn't catch that, and I really always thought it was pick, but it's. And then he's also palm muting at various points in that to give it some rhythmic interest. So it's like. You notice how there's a couple of little spots where I'm palm muting?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
There's that delay now.
I'm really palm muting on the parts where I'm picking all three notes on various strings. It's just, there's a lot of fun, and see, that kind of stuff would drive people crazy, but for me it's like I have so much fun sitting there and figuring all that stuff out.
Ice Cream Man lick.
Yeah, see, I like to throw in the Ice Cream Man lick in there because Eddie used to throw in the Ice Cream Man lick when he played that part live. Yeah. Yep. And then he used to do this other thing where in the first solo he goes.
That delay, man.
Live, he would do that lick going upward instead of downward.
And then he'd do this lick.
But the tapping lick that you really got me tapping lick that you just did.
Mm-hmm.
Live, he does it ascending, not descending.
Well, there's some. Well,
Right.
he does it. He does. There might be some live recordings that I haven't heard where he does it ascending. But
especially last year, the last tour when they did it, he would do that lick, but he would do it. I don't know where it is, but he would do it where it was ascending.
Yeah, he could have done that. Now I'm going back to like the 78 versions, like the 77 and 78 versions. He played it pretty much as it is on the record, but he would not get the timing exactly the same as he did it on the record. He would usually do it like so. Like he would hold on to that a little bit just so he could get on beat.
Mm-hmm.
But on the record, he goes. So that's kind of a cool lick. So I throw that in there. I don't play it like it is on the record, which is. And then you go back into the G section, which is. And that's another one that even that G segment, there's like little rhythmic things that are in between the actual riff. So he does these little. Lots of little rhythmic things that are going into those licks that make it so that everybody just fails when they try to play it. And I'm including myself in that because I wasn't getting it exactly right. And I was but that's because I was missing all these notes that were like these little muted rhythmic accents that kind of keep you in the swing of what's going on. And if you miss those notes, it's almost impossible to get it right and get it in the right timing, to play along with what's happening on the record.
Right. Hey, I hit to make this shorter than it should be, but I've got 3% battery life left. I can't do this anymore.
That's cool.
You mean your
you
phone?
knew you were going to be in for it when I'm on this. You knew you were going to be in for it. Lots of talking.
You know what? But it doesn't matter. Even dealing with the constant talking, I learned a lot.
That's great. And Johnny learned how strong his bladder could be and how he can resist.
Oh no, I've been in there 10 times. Okay.
Well, hey, I appreciate you guys letting me jump on here, and I
don't apologize. It's fine.
We don't have time.
I know it's not easy to accommodate me because here I am in the middle of the afternoon. So I just appreciate it. I love being on with you guys. And
evening now, where Dave is.
Not go to sleep.
This was your whole day, Dave.
Welcome to my life.
You could actually not even air this today. I mean, it's airing live, but you could save it and then play it tomorrow night, and you could take a nap early tomorrow night. Skip the live show.
I don't think I can handle this again.
No, this is a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Making fun of it is a lot of fun.
Well, hey, I mean, this is great. This is something you couldn't do back all those years when you were trying to figure all this stuff out,
Yeah.
Right.
You couldn't sit here with people all around the world watching and thank you, Desiree. Says great job.
Yeah, and you didn't have slow down technology that would keep the pitch, the correct pitch, and just slow down the recording and let you really hear it. I mean, there's all this stuff that happened to where, I mean, it's a good time to be trying to figure this stuff out because you've got all the technology to help you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you care. If you care. I mean, I get that people. I get that there's a lot of people. And I know you do. There's a lot of people that.
I actually learned more today than I've learned in years.
Well, see, that's how I felt when I'm with Bill, because Bill has really completely made me a better player, man. I mean, he spotted so many things that I was just in the weeds about for decades, So that's why, I mean, my experience with Bill is what makes me like passionate about trying to share it with everybody. It's not, I mean, I could do it anonymously if I could. I would if I could. But I just want to get the information out there and let people have it and be able to refer to it, which is why we're taking the trouble to transcribe these things and create the tab and try to put them online. So, and I appreciate you guys letting me have the platform to at least talk about it and demonstrate it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you kidding me? Anytime.
Yes. All right. So your phone's gonna die. All right.
Yep. In a second.
All right. Good.
All right.
It's not my phone. It's my laptop.
Laptop.
Yeah.
Bill Comporis says thank you to Alan. Everybody says thank you. Somebody else said thanks for us even being on today. They said they're having a rough day, and
that sucks.
They really appreciated that we were on here. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Wake up, everyone. I'm awake. That's the problem. I had 2 cups of this Earl Grey Tazo, whatever. So
I think we should have Alan play us out. Play Eruption out.
Like fade out?
Yeah, well, not fade out, but the whole song. Do the whole thing.
Oh, play it and then we'll jump out? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you play Eruption?
I'll give it a shot.
Do you know that one? All right, here we go. See you guys tomorrow night for Wolfgang Wednesday.
Bye.